There was a time when Engelbert Humperdinck's voice seemed almost larger than the world itself. Women screamed his name in packed theaters. Record executives treated him like royalty. And for years, it looked like he had achieved the kind of fame most artists only dream about. But behind the velvet suits, the romantic ballads, and the sold-out crowds, another story was quietly unfolding, one far more painful than audiences ever imagined. Because while the world saw a glamorous international superstar, those close to the story remember a man who reportedly spent decades battling loneliness, exhaustion, and the emotional cost of living inside a persona he could never fully escape. Honestly, what makes Engelbert's story heartbreaking isn't the fame he gained. It's the silence that slowly followed after the applause faded. At the height of his success, Engelbert Humperdinck wasn't just a singer. He was a phenomenon. Songs like "Release Me" transformed him into one of the most recognizable voices in the world almost overnight. In many ways, he became the embodiment of old-school romance itself, smooth, polished, untouchable. But here's what most people never realized. Long before the fame arrived, Engelbert reportedly struggled deeply with insecurity. Born Arnold Dorsey, he grew up far away from Hollywood glamour, in a household where success never felt guaranteed. According to insiders, he spent years performing in tiny clubs, chasing opportunities that rarely seemed to come. And by the time fame finally found him, he had already endured rejection after rejection that quietly shaped the rest of his life. Then suddenly, everything changed. Television appearances exploded. Concert halls filled instantly. Fans threw themselves toward the stage just to touch him. At the time, nobody understood what was really happening behind the scenes. While the public saw confidence, many believe Engelbert privately struggled under the crushing pressure of maintaining perfection night after night. The entertainment industry moved fast, and fame during that era could feel merciless. One hit song could make you immortal, but one bad year could make Hollywood forget your name entirely. According to reports, Engelbert became obsessed with staying relevant, constantly touring and performing even as the emotional toll reportedly began wearing him down. And that's when the cracks slowly started appearing. As music changed through the 1970s and 1980s, younger audiences moved toward newer sounds, leaving many classic performers fighting to preserve their place in an industry suddenly obsessed with reinvention. Rumors began circulating that Engelbert feared becoming trapped by nostalgia, loved for who he once was, but overlooked for who he had become. In many ways, that fear seemed to follow him everywhere. Even while still performing internationally, there were whispers of exhaustion behind the curtain. Those close to the story remember a man who reportedly found it increasingly difficult to separate the public image from the private self. But perhaps the most devastating chapter came much later. While Engelbert continued appearing on stage well into his later years, his personal life quietly entered a heartbreaking new phase when his wife Patricia's health reportedly began declining due to Alzheimer's disease. And suddenly, the man once surrounded by roaring crowds found himself confronting something fame could never protect him from: helplessness. Many believe this period changed him profoundly. Interviews from recent years feel softer, quieter, almost reflective. The charisma remained, but underneath it was the visible weight of grief, aging, and memory slowly slipping away. Today, Engelbert Humperdinck represents something larger than music itself. He represents an era now disappearing into history, a time when performers built careers through raw stage presence, relentless touring, and emotional connection rather than viral moments and algorithms. But his story also feels deeply human because it reminds people how fragile fame truly is. Audiences remember the spotlight. They remember the romance, the applause, the voice. What they often forget is the emotional cost carried by the person standing beneath all of it. And maybe that's why Engelbert's story still lingers so powerfully today. Not because of scandal or controversy, but because behind the legendary image was a man trying to hold on to love, identity, and meaning while the world around him slowly changed beyond recognition. And somewhere tonight, while old records continue spinning in quiet living rooms across the world, the voice that once made millions feel less alone now echoes with a sadness few fans ever truly saw. If this story touched you, share your thoughts in the comments below, like the video, and subscribe for more untold stories from the golden age of entertainment.